Hello, friends. This werewolf is not dangerous. No, he is very dangerous. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. The only reason I'm posting this is to collect my thoughts and to rationalize all the unbelievable things that have happened to me over the last 12 hours. Believe it or not, it's up to you, but this is the story of how I found myself trapped in someone else's life. This morning, I woke up in someone else's bed. And don't mean get wasted at a party and wake up God knows where. No. It was like I'd been picked up and dropped into the life of a complete stranger. After figuratively pulling myself together, I took a good long look at my surroundings. From what I gathered, they were in high schools, like me, but the similarities ended there. The room was completely different. Different walls. Different stuff. Different memories. There were photos of people I've never met, clothes I've never owned strewn over the floor, and banners of sports teams I'd never even heard of pinned up on the walls. I was never much of a sporting person. There was a knock at the door and the sound of a woman's voice. "John? You awake?" I was so startled by my new surroundings that her question barely registered with me and I forgot to answer. "You okay in there?" she repeated. There was an audible tone of concern in her voice. "Yeah, I'm good." My voice felt unfamiliar and alien. I heard her give a small sigh of relief. "Well, breakfast will be ready soon, so make sure you're dressed." "Okay." I heard her walk off downstairs. Feeling almost numb with shock and confusion, I got up out of bed and headed to the wardrobe. I threw on some jeans and a plain white shirt and stepped out of my room. At one end of the hall, there was a staircase. At the other was a series of doors. A bathroom, some kind of walk-in closet, an unmarked door, and one with the name Molly written in bright pink feathers. I went left, down the stairs. When I opened the door to the kitchen, I was greeted by a sight that most people would have found to be very mundane. But to me, it was terrifying. Two complete strangers turned and smiled at me. One, a middle-aged woman, who I assumed was my mum, was partway through making a sandwich. The other, young girl no older than 10 or 11, was merrily munching through a bowl of cereal. I assumed this was Molly. "Good morning," I said weakly, sitting down opposite Molly. She furrowed her brow. "You look pale." I felt my forehead. "I'm good." A plate of scrambled eggs and toast was placed in front of me by the mum. "I'm sure you're just hungry," she said. "Yeah, probably." I ate in silence and observed my surroundings. Molly kept looking at me, staring at me, so I tried to avoid her gaze by looking around the room. Lazily sat atop an ironing board was something that can only be described as one of God's cruel jokes. Its eyes were freakishly close to its mouth. Its teeth were sticking out of its mouth in all directions. Most of its greasy black hair had fallen out and it was down in ear. "Is that a cat?" I mumbled. "John!" Molly shouted. "Don't be mean to Garfield." I choked on my eggs. "Garfield? It's not even orange." Molly glared at me. She turned to the ironing board and tapped her legs to get its attention. "Come here, Garfield," she said softly. The cat jumped down from his spot and walked over to Molly. She picked it up and began petting it. "What happened to its ear?" She looked at me confused. "What? He's never had an ear." Mom sat down next to us. "Are you feeling okay, John?" she asked. "You seem a million miles away." I had no idea how to respond. How could I possibly tell them the truth? What even was the truth? Was this my life? Had my other life been some form of a dream? My previous life, my real, when I was Thomas and not John, was already beginning to feel fake. It's like when you wake up after a dream and then an hour later you can only remember snippets of it. Until, eventually, you're not even sure it even happened. No, I'm good, I'm good. Mom glanced at the clock. You should go grab your bag. Ryan will be here soon. I nodded and got up, despite having no idea who Ryan was. As I left the kitchen I caught Molly staring at me. She gave me chills. I headed up to my room, grabbed my bag along with a few other things I might need, wallet, phone, etc., and headed back downstairs. Mom was stood by the front door. See you later, sweetie. See you. Stood at the far end of the driveway was a boy about my age. He was looking at his phone and tapping his hand against his leg impatiently. I assumed this was the aforementioned Ryan. As I was walking toward him he looked up and waved. You took your sweet-ass time, he said, smiling. Sorry about that. I gestured for him to walk in front. Since I had no idea where I was going, I figured I'd just follow him and eventually I'd end up at the school. We began walking in awkward silence. It was at that point I realized something. I pulled my wallet and phone out from my pockets and began going through them. Inside the wallet were a provisional license and about $10. The license said my name was John Palmer, 17 and from Texas. I checked the phone and, luckily, there wasn't a password. From a minute or so of searching through that, I discovered a few more details. I attend Dewis High School. Dewis is the name of the town. I've apparently known the guy next to me, Ryan, for a very long time. Like since kindergarten. There was another friend, Sophie. Like Ryan, it appeared I'd known her since kindergarten too. We were all in a group chat too, named the Original Three. The Photos app was filled with all the usual things. Pictures of me, Ryan and Sophie, a few shots from a football game, a couple of memes and some pictures of math equations scrawled on a piece of paper, which I assumed was some bygone homework. Just normal, everyday things. I felt Ryan slap me on the back. You seem pretty quiet today, John. You feeling alright? Yeah, I'm good, I replied, trying not to wince. It was surprisingly hard. You get up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Yeah, something like that. I looked up and saw a girl at the corner of an intersection, waving at us. I recognized her from the pictures. It was Sophie. Morning, Sophie. Hey, John, she said, smiling. Ryan said something to her and they got chatting. I followed behind in silence, checking my phone for more clues. I didn't find much. When we got to school, we all went our separate. Since no one tried to speak to me during classes, I kept to myself. It was best that way. I didn't want to run the risk of being asked questions I couldn't answer. I met back up with the other two at lunch. We talked as we ate and, from them, I gathered more and more information through context clues. Now, this is all nice and spooky, but it wasn't until after classes when I headed back to my locker to drop some stuff off, I had to ask Ryan what the combination was, that the first truly weird thing happened. Some point in between checking my locker for the first time this morning and checking it in the afternoon, someone had put something in it. It wasn't a prank or anything like that. No. It was a book. A book on myths and legends. And on the contents page, a chapter called Lycanthropes was circled in red pen. Now, this was pretty strange, but it pales compared to what I saw when I was walking back home. For whatever reason, Sophie and Ryan weren't walking the same way as me, so I went back alone. Part of the route goes through a small wooded area. It wasn't a rough or completely remote, but since it went out of the way of the residential area, it was pretty quiet. Now, as I was walking through, a rabbit walked out from underneath a bush and crossed the path in front of me. Now, when I say walk, I don't mean moved around on all fours like a normal rabbit. No, this thing was bipedal. I stopped dead in my tracks when I saw it. When it was halfway across the path, it turned its head towards me and things got even weirder. Nice evening, isn't it? I just nodded at the talking rabbit and wondered if I was in some sort of fever dream. After escaping Wonderland, I went straight home. So far today we've had waking up in someone else's life, mysterious books, and a talking rabbit. But it gets worse. Or maybe better. Anyway, 2 more things have happened this evening. The first one was while we were eating dinner. The radio was on in the background and the news came on at 7. Tonight's top story. The mysterious deaths of cattle and other livestock continues as 3 sheep were found mutilated at a farm yesterday evening in the local area. Forensic evidence matches that gathered from the other attacks, and police believe that a pack of wolves or wild dogs may be behind the killings. More information as it develops. Now, over to Tom for the sports. All these things are all tied together, right? Well, maybe not the rabbit, but the other 2 certainly are. The mysterious book and the animal attacks, it's all about dogs, right? Dogs and wolves and stuff? Was it a coincidence? I didn't think so. And I happened to be right. When I went back upstairs to my room, I saw something half pushed under the door. It was a letter, and quite a fancy looking one too. It was written on old-fashioned looking parchment in fancy cursive script. It read, "Hello John. Or perhaps I should call you Thomas. You are probably wondering what you are doing here. All will be revealed in time. But first, I need you to do something for me. This town has a problem and I need you to fix it. You'll know what to do. Good luck." I'd be lying if I said I wasn't having fun. Spooky letters, talking rabbits, random books and a sheep-based murder mystery. I'm loving it. I know earlier I said I was scared when I woke up, and I was. But I had a shit life. I grew up in a children's home. And I'm 17. I had only had 1 year left, and who really would want to adopt a teenager? So, let's put everything together. Mysterious book on wolves plus animal attacks plus letter telling me I need to fix some problem. I think I have to kill a werewolf. I'll post something soon. I already have this thing planned out. Me, Ryan and Sophie, we're gonna go camping. We're gonna kill a werewolf and I'm gonna have the time of my life. And do you know why? Because I have nothing left to live for and it feels incredible.